humans are designed to speak. Right? But even before we come to speaking, it is our ears and it is our eyes that are always in focus. And we are drawing information from all directions.
Yes.
We move about, whatever we are doing, we are drawing information consciously and subconsciously. We might not like it, we might not be in the mood, we might be focused, but yet information is constantly coming to us.
True.
So all of this information that we are getting filled up with, all the neurons which are attracting all this information, they also need to expel. We cannot keep on retaining the information and filling us up with thoughts, wisdom, knowledge, whatever. It needs to come out. We keep on using that word universe. We have shown our love for the universe. How about contributing very positively towards the universe, and that is through your expressions, not just your verbal ones, your written ones as well. Because more you write, you are actually, the process of not simply gathering, but processing what is inside you and then taking it out. Because if you keep it within you, you are actually making your thoughts go stale. I provoke individuals not just to write, but to write a book.
Okay.
I provoke individuals, and all around I meet individuals, young, old, whatever. I provoke them because again, as I said, I find so many people with fantastic thought process, the way they express themselves, the kind of ideas that they possess, the kind of work that they have done, the kind of lives that they have lived, the kind of experiences that they have, created for themselves.
True.
So they all are worthy writers in their own right, and they must write.
Welcome to the Smriti show. Today we'll talk about self-development by way of writing, reading, coaching, soft skills. And we have with us a very versatile personality, Mr. Viveik Pandit. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much.
So how should we address you? You do training, coaching, reading, writing, you take a lot of workshops, you are an accomplished and a published author, you write profusely. So how do we introduce you?
Okay, so that's a lovely question to begin with. And a straight answer would be that I love to call myself a writer first. So calling yourself a writer gives you that pride because not even in my wildest of dreams I had ever imagined that one day I'll take to writing. But here I am. And essaying that craft, it has definitely given me that push, that drive, that जो खून बढ़ता है ना, so it has given me that feeling. So I would say that I am a writer first, and I've truly found my oasis in writing. But along with writing, I very early in my career realized that writing and money, it's a bad marriage.
Yes.
So somebody advised, in fact somebody pushed me towards training and development. I took it up. And I realized that this was something that my system was wanting to do.
Do it.
So professing as a professor of management, that is one. And of course, contributing towards learning and development, that has become my, I would not say a hustle, because that's a phrase that I would not like to use, because I'm doing it with purpose and passion. And so writing, yes. But definitely development of the human resource, as they say, and more than just a resource, it's a fantastic fellow beings that exist everywhere, right from my MBA students up to the corporate professionals. So yes, writer, corporate trainer, coach, professor.
That's why I said in the beginning that you're a versatile personality and you don each hat with equal ease and excellence, I would say. Writing, since we are talking about self-development, and all these are ways of developing yourself. If we talk about training, if we talk about, design management, if we talk about self-development, it all requires training, either by way of a trainer, a teacher, or you train yourself. So since you call yourself as a writer, and I've seen your simple writings move the innermost chords of people, be it just a post on Facebook, the way you write and the way people connect, it's amazing. Something as simple as a garden bench or a white cycle in the lawn, it really draws that connection and people engage with you through comments. So how can writing help people in their self-development process or any profession they take up?
All right. So humans are designed to speak, right? But even before we come to speaking, it is our ears and it is our eyes that are always in focus. And we are drawing information from all directions.
Yes.
We move about, whatever we are doing, we are drawing information consciously and subconsciously. We might not like it, we might not be in the mood, we might be focused, but yet information is constantly coming to us.
True.
So all of this information that we are getting filled up with, all the neurons which are attracting all this information, they also need to expel. We cannot keep on retaining the information and filling us up with thoughts, wisdom, knowledge, whatever. It needs to come out. We need to share it. And speaking is one natural thing that comes to all of us.
Yes.
And that is why we speak. But again, I would stop you here and stop myself and remind you that in those 24 hours that each one of us has, can you make a small guess as to how much time do we actually, utilize speaking? If you were just to make a
4-5 hours?
So you are close, but you are close by almost double. So 50% of that time at the most,
You talk.
we spend on speaking. Most of the other time we are actually listening or, busy doing so many other things.
Right.
So our system is still functioning 24/7. So even when we sleep, that is why we have the dreams, because the mind keeps on, processing information, and then it manifests in so many manners. So speaking is what we have naturally trained to be.
Yes.
That is what is expected out of everybody, every mother. That is the first thing that, she reaches out and makes the child do, whether it is crying or any other sound that, you might expect from the smallest of that baby. But something that we can definitely train ourselves is writing. That is also an expression, and it's a must-have expression. I meet so many individuals, and all learned, good, smart individuals, and I make it a point to ask this question: do you write? And I ask them because the moment they open their mouth, they are expressing themselves and saying such beautiful things, and all of that knowledge is either coming out via their wisdom or the kind of experiences that they have gathered in their lives. So I push them that, you must write. You must express yourself. So even for my students who can be as small as 7 years, 8 years, because I touch upon different lives when I talk about training and development, and right up till the professional level, I encourage, in fact, forget about encourage is a soft word, I provoke them to take to writing, because again, you are expelling, which you must do, and you must expel that information, that knowledge, that thought to the universe. We keep on using that word universe. We have shown our love for the universe. How about contributing very positively towards the universe, and that is through your expressions, not just your verbal ones, your written ones as well. Because more you write, you are actually, the process of not simply gathering, but processing what is inside you and then taking it out. Because if you keep it within you, you are actually making your thoughts go stale. So writing helps you to grow. Writing helps you to grow not just intellectually but emotionally as well. And managing yourself emotionally, I feel, is a far greater responsibility that each one of us should actually be doing. We must be emotionally smart. Writing helps you to achieve that.
Very rightly pointed that, listening and speaking and seeing comes naturally to us. And I think by the age of 3 or 4, we start picking up the pen, and maybe by 6 or 7, we start actually writing and then processing our thoughts. And as you mentioned, that not everyone writes, even though they are brilliant in their academics or doing wonderful in their professions, they fail to realize the impact of writing. More so, they fail to realize the kind of self-development that can happen through writing. And as you said, emotional quotient, it helps in writing. So again, emotional quotient, if we talk about in today's world, it's a big word, and a lot of trainings are happening around it. A lot of people have realized that, you can have X amount of technical skills, but if your emotional quotient is not at that level, it will not let you succeed. So one aspect is that you should write. It helps you. It probably releases your thing, whatever you have absorbed. You once you write, you are stress free. I take writing that way, that whatever is in my mind, if I can't speak out, I just write it down and then I'm done. All that frustration goes on the pen, paper, or Facebook or message, whatever. So coming to emotional quotient, in your trainings, what is the scenario? You meet people of all ages, right? From 7-year-old to probably 70-year-old are your students. So how do you help them develop the emotional quotient, and what is emotional quotient if we talk about for a layman to understand?
Okay, so before I actually address this question, 2 things which are very important, which I must intervene here. You use the word stress for your writing.
Yes.
You take to writing to get rid of your stress or to manage your stress.
Yeah.
I would make a suggestion. Stop using this word stress. You are in a way managing yourself.
Yeah.
You're simply managing yourself. It is not the stress. You are managing yourself. And it is again the approach of how you take to writing. I take to writing as a purpose, as a passion. I never take it as a release of my stress. No. And
instead of stress, it could be called release of your emotions. So,
yes.
Past 2-3 days, we are seeing what is happening, the war all around, the Gaza Strip and all of it. What can you do as a person sitting here watching news, watching videos? You call it stress or you call it an emotional buildup that is happening. How do you release that, How much can you talk about people who are not concerned about war? They're like, acha, India mein nahi ho raha na, bahar ho raha hai. So to match that wavelength, if I feel that need to express. You can call it stress, you can call it emotional outburst, you can call it a purpose of writing so that I express my views and somebody might read it, agree to it, disagree to it, a conversation or a dialogue happens. So, sorry to interrupt you.
No, absolutely fine. You definitely have a point there.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to stress upon, I've used that word, is slightly different, which is you go into a mode, a specific mode where you are in a flow.
Yes.
So if you are in that flow, then nothing else will affect you. And that is one reason why I have been able to write the number of books that I have.
Yes.
Because I simply went into that mode and I was constantly telling myself, I need to write because I'm enjoying it. And although my entire ecosystem is telling me otherwise, they are raising lots of questions. How will you sell the book? Will there be takers for the idea?
Will anyone read it?
Will anybody publish it? But all of that was not on my system at all. My entire focus was on the fact that I'm enjoying this. So why shouldn't I write? If I finished one, why not the next one? Right? So that was in context to that. And the other thing that I would like to stress on, again I've used that word.
It has become part of our life, stress.
So again, one word that I want to go back to the previous question that you had raised, I was trying to answer that. In my case, when I've taken to writing, I'm creating something.
Yes.
That creation is giving me that
joy
push,
and ultimate happiness.
Yes, the ultimate contentment of look what I have done.
Yes.
So that is adding to my intent, my why not ambition, my aspiration. That is driving my day as well. So likewise, the creativity factor is so important.
Very true.
And for us individuals to be one complete individual, us individuals to be blossoming into a great personality that we are really happy and very content and free moving with our idea. I'm not talking about what you can do or what you can achieve, but the basics of you as an individual.
Being at ease with yourself and your surroundings.
So when you're creating, you get that feel.
Yes.
Your emotions are definitely sure. Your confidence is there in its place. You're thinking straight. You're thinking right. Your spirits are up. So that is what creativity does. So that is one easy way. That is why we had those hobby classes in our. It was encouraged. We must
creative
have
writing
a hobby.
classes also.
Yeah, creative writing. Read something. Join that elocution group. So there are so many ways in which we can bring out that inner confident, complete child out of us. And so one individual. That is why the stress on or the focus on emotional quotient, the emotional smartness. And if you'll see even the national education policy of
India,
the policy makers there, now they feel that, our children need that confidence.
True.
Our children need that nurturing right at the beginning. Of course, the parents are giving it to them, the teachers are there, the entire ecosystem is doing that. But now the focus is there, that sensitivity is there, that this aspect is important.
They're bringing that structure into the system, into place, so that
Absolutely.
Each one nurtures the emotional quotient and they don't lag behind it.
Absolutely.
So as you said that, you've written so many books, you are now heavily into trainings. You are a management professor, you take MBA classes, you have a lot of people from all age groups whom you train. Who actually is Dr. Viveik Pandit?
Okay, so the prefix you remembered and you mentioned Dr. Viveik Pandit, but you can do away with the prefix. I call myself a pretentious writer, and even this prefix is kind of pretentious because I'm not the doctor. I'm just the academic doctor. But who exactly is Viveik Pandit? So besides my writing passion and interest, by birth, by my DNA, I'm a Kashmiri, and who's never lived in Kashmir. So our ancestors, they migrated from Kashmir almost 500 years back, and that is the politically correct statement to make. They migrated. And so our ancestors, about 40 families, they settled down in the Doaba region. That is the land between two rivers. That is close to where the modern day Chandigarh and Ludhiana is.
Okay.
And so about 40 families, Kashmiri families settled there. Quite a few are still there. And my parents, my dad, his brothers and sisters, all siblings, they came to Lucknow. For want of education and jobs. So they liked the place, they settled down here. So I was born in Lucknow. So a Kashmiri born in Lucknow. So I love to give this introduction in my training spaces as well, that Kashmiri bolni aati nahi hai. और पंजाबी की टांग तोड़ लेते हैं, हिंदी उर्दू में बात करते हैं और अंग्रेजी में लिखते हैं. So I would like to define myself as that.
As a Kashmiri Pandit, and Pandit is your surname as well. So coming to our next question, as you beautifully said, and that's the beauty of India, that we think in some other language, we speak some other language, we write some other language. But one thing that we've always seen when it comes to speaking or writing, people who are not good in English, especially after the 200 years of British rule, we have stopped respecting our language, our local religious, regional dialects and all. So what is your tip to people when they are into the public space? Say if I am not good at English and I have everyone in the room speaking good English. So how to overcome that problem, that challenge, and making a space, making an impression?
Okay. So this war, I call it a war, and this is very close to an existential war that people are constantly involved with, mine versus yours or this versus that. So this is very similar to your question has that element, and I face this. I face this constantly. Before I enter into a training space or before I enter into any professing space, I get a small brief from the coordinator. Sir, please, यहाँ पे अंग्रेजी तंग है तो workable
I'm
language.
sure, because if you're going to a government school or a government college for training, their medium is Hindi.
Absolutely.
With private education and private system and the corporate trainings you do, we are heavily on the English side. But when both the worlds meet, which they do, in terms of anything you talk about, any event you talk about, any incident you talk about, the world meets. Even if a plumber is coming to me or if a milkman is coming to me, we have that communication of English and Hindi or whatever. So, and a lot of people, वो कहते हैं ना, झेप जाते हैं, उनको समझ नहीं आता है. They might be very good at their job. वो confidence level चला जाता है. And I think youth of India is facing this, especially these government school kids who are brilliant in their academics, in their talent. But when they have to compete with the urban kids of private school who are from the English medium, what should they do? Or what do you tell through your training? How do you train them to be confident, to be outgoing, to, just make an impression in the room?
Right. So one reason why I took to training was exactly what my answer is going to be now. So when I took to training, when I began my role as a professor, and I am there with my MBA students, and I was handling the subject of marketing then. And on the very first day, and with every subsequent day, it became absolutely clear that our students are young ones, are young dynamic individuals who are there to arm themselves with a management degree.
Yes.
उनमें कोई कमी नहीं है. They have everything. They have nothing to prove. One thing that is stopping them, not only their process of learning, but also the process of their evolving as professionals, is, I'm afraid, their communication skills. And you just raised the point of English as a bone of contention, I should say.
Yeah.
But उनकी हिंदी भी नहीं ठीक थी.
Yes.
तो हम लोग एक तो उंगली उठाते हैं अंग्रेजी की तरफ, पर ये एक और हकीकत है कि हमारी खुद की जो भाषा है, हम उसको भी जस्टिफाई नहीं कर पा रहे हैं with our expressions.
Very true.
So I instantly realized that this is a gaping hole that this entire system possesses. और इससे देखिए क्या अफेक्ट होता है, उनके कॉन्फिडेंस अफेक्ट हो रहा है, उनका सेल्फ एस्टीम अफेक्ट हो रहा है. एंड ऑल ऑफ दिस इज हैम्परिंग देयर ग्रोथ, देयर रियल ग्रोथ. एंड दे आर MBA स्टूडेंट जब आता है करने, तो उसने, वो ग्रेजुएट भी है क्योंकि ये मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम है, 21 साल का हो गया है. ही इज एन अडल्ट who can not only vote, he can also get married, who can drink, right?
Drink, so, drive, everything.
And why should one small aspect, hamper this individual who has everything, right? I took to training at that point.
Beautiful.
So it is not about English. It is not about Hindi either. It is जो हमें करना है. Why shouldn't I do it just the right way? Why shouldn't I do something which the other person would appreciate? Or why shouldn't I do something which is of meaning to the other individual? Why shouldn't I do something which, makes me feel proud, which gets me the money,
right?
Which makes my business worthwhile, which makes me feel proud? Why not? And communication is one, I think ये एकदम फ्री अवेलेबल है हम लोग को, हम लोग सिर्फ उस पर काम नहीं कर रहे हैं.
Very rightly said. I mean, if we talk about communication skills, it's a big gamut, and as you said, it's not about bhasha or the language. It's about whichever language you choose, be it Hindi, English, Sanskrit, Urdu, whatever, you should master it and
Absolutely.
you should communicate it. Instead
Absolutely.
of impressing others, you should be expressing yourself
Absolutely.
in whichever language you have command. And as you brought the topic of communication skills, I guess it's another huge topic which is very related to our personal growth, development, success. If we talk about anyone who's successful, may be good in their technical skills, but to interact with the world, to leave a legacy behind, they have to be expressive by way of writing or by way of speaking. So, and in the management gamut or in the world of media and communications, there are 7 C's of communication, 4 C's of communication, बहुत सारे C, N, M, कुछ भी हम उसको बोल सकते हैं. But as a trainer, what as per you are the 3-4 basic things one should keep in mind while communicating to people?
Okay. So, there's a very interesting and possibly you've heard this story which is taking the rounds on the internet, and it is ascribed to the Greek philosopher Aristotle. I do not know if it actually is him in the story or not, but this is what the story says. I think the message behind that is fantastic, and I'm going to repeat it for your audience as well. And the story goes like this, that Mr. Aristotle, he is on his morning walk, and one young man approaches Mr. Aristotle and he confronts him. He literally confronts him, like, you call yourself a very wise guy, and so please tell me, Mr. Wise Guy, what is the secret of success? How should I get success? You have answers to every question. Answer this question. So, in his own inimical style, Aristotle looks at this young man and he says, you want to find out the secret of success? Yes. And you have to tell me. So he says, all right. Why don't you meet me tomorrow early morning by the seaside? We'll take a walk at the beach. What time? The young man says. So a time is fixed. And next morning, Mr. Aristotle is there, and this young man is also there, and they begin to walk on the beach by the seaside. And so once they have covered some distance, Aristotle begins to walk towards the sea. So this guy has no other option but to follow, and so and he keeps on walking, and पानी पहले नीज तक आता है, फिर वेव्स तक आ जाता है, and Aristotle is not stopping, and the waves are coming onto these two individuals. Our Mr. Aristotle is walking towards the sea, and this guy has to follow. So जब यहाँ तक almost पानी आ जाता है, then Mr. Aristotle, he stops and he turns around, and he grips the guy by the scruff of his neck and pushes him down inside the water, and he holds him there. By way of his strength.
Scary.
Yes, he holds him there, and of course, if anybody were to do that to you, your reaction would be that you'll be gasping for what is this? This is not what
I was
you expecting, and you're literally fighting for your life there. So in the brink of that moment, Mr. Aristotle pulls him out because that was not his intention. And so, of course, the moment he's out and he is exasperated and he questions, what is this? I come to you for the secret of success and you try to drown me? Is this your idea of telling me how success can be achieved? So Aristotle very calmly asks him, while I did that to you, while I put your head inside the water, how did you feel? What kind of a question is this, Mr. Aristotle? I was gasping for, breath. I wanted to save myself. Aristotle says, exactly. You want to achieve success? This is what you must feel and do when you want to achieve anything. Whatever is that you want to do, you must want that in that manner. That kind of, chhatpatana jise kehte hain na, I want that. So to answer, coming back to your question, we know that communication, that expression is, what is it? In the simplest of form, I have a message I have to convey to you.
Right.
I have to convince Raj. I have to tell her something important. I have to tell something to Raj that she either agrees to me or she does something which I want her to do. Right? This is why we, basically communicate.
Right.
There is a message which has to go to the other person, and based on that message, the follow-up action is done. So likewise for our individuals and for any individual, there is a medium of exchange, which is our languages, our bhasha. हमें उसको इस्तेमाल करना है बस. As simple as that. There is no fight. अंग्रेजी भी एक भाषा है. I love it. हिंदी भी कितनी सुंदर भाषा है. And for that matter, any language that you talk about, they are beautiful languages. Beauty, yeah. If tomorrow, Raj, both of us have to travel to Moscow, first flight out of Lucknow, both of us, we have a fantastic life there, right? Good money is promised to us, and हम लोग को जाना है वहाँ पे. I can assure you, by the time our flight lands at the Moscow airport, हम लोग 10-15 वर्ड तो रशियन के सीख चुके होंगे.
Very true.
And in the next 6 months, we would be blabbering in Russian. What our children do here is, they come out with excuses. कि हम तो हिंदी मीडियम से पढ़े हैं.
Right.
हमारा ये एक्सपोजर नहीं है. यही तो आता है.
और they give that excuse कि अगर हम सक्सेसफुल नहीं है या हमसे आगे कोई जा रहा है तो ये इस वजह से जा रहा है.
ये देखिए, ये अंग्रेजी बोलते हैं. ये सब what is this? These are small things which are pulling us back. And I want to look at your camera towards your audience, and I hope that I can call them my audience as well.
All yours.
These are stupid excuses. We are pulling ourselves down unnecessarily. आज का देखिए ज़माना क्या है? People are young ones, they are mastering more than 2 languages. There's a third language also involved.
Yeah, true.
We are so lucky कि हम लोग के पास एक मातृभाषा तो है ही. अंग्रेजी हम लोग को चाहे जैसी मिली, चाहे ब्रिटिशर्स जैसे थे, पर हमें दे तो गए हैं.
हाँ, it's an added advantage for us to
हम लोग के पास
interact with the global market.
Absolutely एक advantage है.
Yeah.
और आजकल वो थर्ड लैंग्वेज भी सीखी जा रही है.
Yes, French, Spanish, German, whatever
you name it, Mandarin, why not?
Yes, they are doing it.
So किसी चीज में अगर आपको फायदा हो सकता है, किसी चीज से you can grow, किसी चीज से you can express yourself better, किसी चीज से अगर आपके करियर में एडवांसमेंट हो सकता है, why not?
Why not? And the story that you narrated of Aristotle beautifully points to that. If you want to be successful, you need to, fight back even if somebody is pushing you down.
Absolutely.
And same goes with the language and the communication, the basics of communication.
Absolutely.
If you wish to be heard, to be known, to be understood. You have to master your skills in such a way that your communication is point blank and people understand it. I mean, the whole purpose of communication is to be understood. It doesn't make any sense. I say something and you understand it in a different way. The whole purpose of communication becomes null and void. So it has to be crisp, clear cut, and the world is the window. On the click of internet, we can learn any language. We can master whatever language we are proficient in. So coming to the next question, Dr. Pandit, apart from communication, emotional quotient, reading, writing, listening, speaking, we all have to master all of these. There's something called soft skills also. And since you have been a trainer all this while, you know the importance of soft skills, non-verbal communication that we talk about, a lot of times handwriting analysis. So if we talk specifically about soft skills, what are the few soft skills that everyone should develop to become successful in any profession they choose?
Okay. So, first of all, this expression soft skills.
Yeah.
So, I have a slight objection to it.
It's been used in a number of ways by different people and kind of heavily marketed and sold a word, I would say, in the communication and training gamut.
And my dislike for this expression is because it tends to take the idea behind the entire exercise very, not softly.
It makes the word very casually, I think.
Yeah, it is a casual approach, I feel. It's a hard skill, I believe. And managing yourself. In fact, for me, if you were to ask me to find ways to define how one individual can actually grow and what are the basic things or basic elements that each one of us should possess.
Yes.
So I would say your skills are definitely important. Whatever work that you do,
the
your
technical skills,
they are definitely important. But along with those skills, you require that attitude. You definitely require that, frame of mind to operate, to manage others. And then the third element, very important, is the communication aspect. So your attitude, your communication, and you have the backing of the skills that you possess.
Bring to the table. Yeah.
You are a powerhouse. Nobody can stop you. So this is where this aspect of training comes to. In fact, many corporate houses, they are working on simple things like communication. They are working on negotiation skills. They want their employees to undergo trainings, facilitation, coaching, you name it, on emotional smartness, on as you said, stress management, on excellence.
Time management is again a buzzword.
There's no end to it. What we can gather and arm ourselves with different ideas, different, I think, skills. These are fantastic life skills that we must possess. And as I just mentioned, the NEP policy, the education policy, is also talking in similar terms. Why don't we start young and afresh with these younger ones as well? So this is definitely, every individual, Raj, requires training, including me. So I invest in my own learning.
So do you subscribe to the idea of lifelong learning?
Absolutely. I'm all for it. I'm definitely in for it, because even I need to update myself. I cannot hide behind the fact that I cannot catch up with the technology or the kind of the inflow of artificial intelligence which exists around me, or somebody smarter than me. No, I would be doing the same thing which possibly, my trainees throw back at me.
Yes.
So it is upon us to update ourselves. It is upon us to provide the best, or at least to strive to provide the best.
True.
And one easy way of doing it: work on your communication, Raj. Work on your attitude. Because the other person, any individual that whom you interact with, is constantly observing your behavior, right? That is what the other person, a stranger, would always look at you by way of your appearance, and then what you do with that appearance, right? Your behavior, your appearance. Your skills, all of that will follow later.
Later, very true.
It's always your appearance and what you're doing with yourself. That is always defining us, projecting us.
I'm glad you mentioned this because a lot of people don't understand the importance of non-verbal communication. Before even you open your mouth, people have already made an impression of yourself. They say, 20 seconds of the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you smile, the first 20 words you say, it already creates an impression. So what would be the few tips that you would give to young minds or anyone, of any field, that how they should project or present themselves, if they have to make a positive impression? You talked about attitude, you talked about communication skills, but say if I have to enter something, what are the few things that I should keep in mind, maybe while dressing up or choosing an attire or whatever, to give that first impression?
Okay, so the question might sound easy, but it has its own challenges.
Yeah, and I'm sure you might have a 3-day, 4-day training plan ready to solve this issue.
So there is actually no one shoe fits all.
Yeah, that's the...
we have different, individuals operating, working all around us. Distinctly, by and large, there are 4 personalities which exist. Of course, the time is limited.
But you can give us a brief on the personalities.
So, there are 4 distinct traits which exist.
Okay.
And in various forms, in various combinations, they are there in each one of us and in different individuals that we interact with, right from our relations, our siblings, our friends, our people that we meet professionally, strangers. So, one thing that I would definitely recommend to every individual, and we operate on 2-3 ways. One is the one-to-one interaction that at the moment we might be going live, or whatever recording might happen, which will be viewed later on. But at the moment, this is a one-to-one interaction.
Very true.
And so this is one interaction that usually takes place in our lives. The other is the group interaction, right? There can be 3 individuals or more than 3 individuals, again, depending upon the situation. Then the third scenario is when the spotlight is on you. You're facing a large audience. So these 3 are usually, one individual will find oneself in these 3 situations, right? This is the most easiest one.
One-to-one communication.
One-to-one communication is the easiest. And you ask anybody, most of us are actually comfortable doing this aspect.
Yes.
The real problem happens when more people begin to be, they are added to the situations. This is where the consciousness, the doubt, they begin to step in, because the human mind is so fertile that it begins to go places. And most of the time, it goes downhill. You're questioning yourself, you're questioning your ability.
Yes.
So those questions, again, can be answered only when you are emotionally smart. So one thing that I will definitely recommend, you can forget about that wardrobe that you just talked about.
Okay.
Of what we dress up ourselves with. You look at any young individual and they are smart. All of us are smart.
Yeah.
I worked on my jacket for this interview. So we all have that basics right, right? I'm also ensuring that my profile is also right when I, look at the camera.
Yeah.
So we have actually evolved as, individuals, and we are working on this.
True.
But one thing that I would like to stress upon is you manage your emotions. The moment you begin to manage yourself, you are on a different, wicket altogether.
Right.
You elevate yourself. You elevate the way you think and operate, the way you manage others. These are the qualities that we really must work upon. हम लोग के सोसाइटी में, हम लोग के कल्चर में कितनी पुरानी कहावतों में विजडम छुपा हुआ है. गुस्सा आए तो 10 तक गिनती गिन लो, उल्टी गिनती कर लो.
Right.
Think before you speak. कितना उसमें डेप्थ छुपा है।
जो दोहे हैं, कहावतें हैं।
बिल्कुल। आपके पास कुछ मुसीबत आए तो रिलैक्स, जरा अपने calm yourself down, take deep breath.
True.
We are doing the same thing, possibly in a different manner.
And in a different, I mean, I'm glad you rightly pointed out this about non-verbal communication. If I would have asked somebody else, probably they would have given me 10 books to refer and ये करना चाहिए, या आप अगर हाथ ऐसे करके बैठते हो तो लोग ये समझते हैं, ये करके बैठते हो तो ये समझते हैं. But you summed up in one word that if you work on yourself emotionally, if your emotional quotient is good, if you manage yourself, then everything, falls in places. If I'm happy, if I'm emotionally sound, you put me in any room, I think I'll shine.
Absolutely.
So that's the key mantra, that you manage yourself and all the other skills will get managed in every possible way.
Raj, look at the wisdom that we already possess.
Yeah.
Meditation. Watching your breath, the deep breath, that is working on yourself. And not just working, it is making you stronger. It is making you grounded. We use that expression so loosely that I am grounded, but are you really?
Really, very true.
But these are the exercises, these are small things and basic things.
Right.
And that wisdom is available to each one of us. But how many of us are actually eating slow? How many of us are actually eating right?
Eating right, chewing 30 times, as they say, so that your food is already digested in your mouth before it enters your stomach. So, and eating while you're sitting on the ground, the sukhasana that they say. So, and the world is now looking at us. We are now arrived, I would say, in a way, and we are marching towards that golden bird which we were once looked at and called upon. So I think that time has come. We are prepared. The youth, as we talk about, is very smart, and who would know better than you? Any specific challenges that you're facing with the current youth that you interact?
It is the focus part.
Okay.
They are distracted.
With so many things. In our times, we didn't have so much of distraction.
Individuals are distracted. They are fighting for focus. And unfortunately, they are engaged in attention. They are thirsting for attention. They are getting that attention on the social media. So it is giving them that dope, that dopamine, that kick. So they feel that that is the real world. And so that is my challenge. So in my space of training space and as a professor, you have smart people with smartphones and young individuals, boys and girls. I go to a training space, so there are individuals who are smart people. They are earning in lakhs, crores possibly, and they are there, and they have gone through the process of literally they've gone through fire to be there. There's nothing to prove.
True.
But yet they are there, right? So for me, that is a good sign. It is good professionally. But the thought process for those individuals is always about a question. I don't need this. Who is the other person to tell me? Again, that's a natural human instinct.
Right.
Because everybody comes with that belief
that I know it all.
I know it all. So as an individual, as a trainer, who again has the responsibility of these 50, 60, 100, whatever be the number which is present there, I have a responsibility. I might have my humor intact, I might have my content intact, but I still have to negotiate those hours with the conviction that change is possible.
Right.
With the conviction that I can, use my communication, I can use my expertise, I can use my message to drive home a point where I simply don't impact one individual, which is usually said कि अगर हमने एक को भी change कर दिया, no. My responsibility is for that entire group which is there. I'm being paid for that. those people, they are away from their normal work, and they have invested their time. The company has invested the money to listen to me and to what I have to offer.
Right.
So I might have written 20 plus books. I might be a professor, but at the end of the day, like Sachin Tendulkar, or if I become more contemporary, Mr. Kohli, he still needs to perform.
Yes.
And that rule applies to each one of us.
One of us. Very true. And as you said that, your responsibility is towards all the people attending, and that one change is not going to lead the beautiful world that we are imagining. All of us have to change. All of us have to collectively grow.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the important aspects of your training programs would be to making those people unlearn things so that they learn new things in the 3-4 hours that you spend with them. And as you talked about your books, the 20 odd books that you have done, tell us something about that, your favorite book or your first book, which project was very special, or what you're currently working on.
Okay, so for the record, I've done 23 books.
Wow.
And I've been counting. So definitely feel proud about that. And since this January 2023, I just finished my 23rd book, which would be released very
shortly.
soon.
Okay.
And but if you were to ask me, which is my favorite, I think your first love, your first baby
is always special.
So no matter how many books, more books that I would write, and even if I were to pick up, my hand would always go. I don't have the book with me. I would like you to show that book to the audience as well. So by mistake, I became a writer, truly. And I named my first book as By Mistake. So that is definitely my favorite
book.
And I did not stop myself with just one genre, as they say. I constantly challenged myself that I've written a novel. Why shouldn't I write, say, short stories?
Or a biography.
Or a coffee table book. So whosoever came to me with an idea, a request, I took to that. Or whatever my wavering mind, whatever mind that you might, tag my mind with, whatever inspired me. Like, for example, I traveled to Mandu, and in the midst of monsoons, and I would request all your listeners, your watchers, you must visit Mandu and go there during monsoons. You'll fall in love with that place.
Okay.
I go there with my love, with my best half, and we stay there 3 days and 4 nights. And we stay in a Sarkari accommodation, tented accommodation, fantastic food, and what beautiful place it is. No modern day interventions are there.
Wow.
Beautifully kept ruins. And I hear the story of Rani Roopmati. And I hear the bards, the local, जो वहाँ के जो tribals हैं.
The folklores that they have.
The folklores, and they sing that lore. So एकदम आपका जो folk tales है, वो folk lore वहाँ पे सुना मैंने. And I promised there and then that my next book would be Rani. So that is how my third book happened.
Okay.
So I've not limited myself by way of an idea. So I've constantly let my juices flow, I would say, and thoroughly enjoyed the process. So, for example, my children would not read me.
Okay.
And
I think our children don't want to read. So for that matter, any writer, they do very few readings.
वो जो उनका जो aspect है ना कि मतलब एक देसी जना अंग्रेजी में कैसे लिखेगा.
Right.
So I think that I could feel that stink in them. So I took to writing for children as well.
Okay.
So I've not limited myself. Then I always wanted to write a non-fiction. My idea about life. हम भी तो कुछ बताएं, कुछ ज्ञान दें.
Self-development books that we call.
Yes, I don't like that expression either, but you can call that because
that's the genre.
Yes. So I took to writing that, and that is one of my latest which comes by the name of Give a Damn.
Okay.
So हम लोग constantly बोलते हैं ना उसकी ऐसी की तैसी. So here I challenge you to give a damn to certain things you definitely must give a damn to, but why not to also?
Right.
So I believe life is beautiful, and this is what the context of that book became. And I love writing short stories as well. So true short stories. One of my short stories, the first one was 21 New Beginnings.
Okay.
True short stories, and the common link between all the stories is that they are all odd. The endings will surprise you.
Okay.
And another feature of those stories was the protagonists were all women. Which doesn't mean that the men are not there, but the focus was on women.
Women-oriented stories.
So I was always questioned at home, you know, why only women?
And how do you know so many women?
Yes, bataiye.
Right.
So in order to ensure that मेरा जीवन एक ही छत के अंदर चले, so I set that equation right, and I wrote another book of set of short stories. This time the focus was on men.
Okay.
And so I call it Men No Pause. So again, the protagonists here are men. So that set the equation right. And I still live with my best half in the same house. So that is my small writing journey.
Right.
I have, since January this year, I've been focusing more on training and development.
Okay.
But you never know. And I'm open to the idea as well.
Of writing. So since you have experimented a lot in the field of writing, what are the few writing tips you would like to give to the young authors or the budding writers who are planning to enter this space? We know that this is not a paying profession. I mean, some are lucky as probably content writers or, you know, bestseller authors. They earn their millions, but not all enter to that space. But still, as you said in the beginning, that we all should write no matter what, irrespective of, you know, the outcome or the result or the money involved. What are the few tips that you would like to give to budding writers and authors?
So I provoke individuals not just to write, but to write a book.
Okay.
I provoke individuals, and all around I meet individuals, young, old, whatever. I provoke them because again, as I said, I find so many people with fantastic thought process, the way they express themselves, the kind of ideas that they possess, the kind of work that they have done, the kind of lives that they have lived, the kind of experiences that they have, you know, created for themselves.
True.
So they all are worthy writers in their own right, and they must write. So follow up to this, I besides provoking others or inspiring others to take to writing and to write a book, I also started my own program of how you can actually write a book. And I know there are a lot of programs going on, and I'm very happy that, you know, people are taking to writing.
Right.
Although reading can be, there's a big question mark there. But still, this expression should not stop because we don't find many readers out there.
Very true.
So it is still, the onus is still on us, on every individual to express yourself and then inspire others to read you as well.
Right.
So as a writer, I've gone around provoking individuals to read me as well, because writing is easy for me, but making others read is the real challenge.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that simultaneously as well to make people take to reading, right? So, which doesn't mean that people are not reading, but the percentage of people who are reading is actually quite small as compared to the way that we should take to reading. But again, I'm not complaining, because there is always space, there's always a moment to grow. So, my tip for writing would be, first of all, you know, develop that mind that I must be writing. I use it as an expression. I use it to come out with my inner self and put myself on paper, see myself in black and white. Because the moment you begin to do this, you said that you use it as a stress buster. The feeling is right there, because you see yourself. That is what it is. And the written word is always powerful. It is empowering. So just imagine your expressions when they go in print, when they have the collective thought process in the form of a book, जबरदस्त खून बढ़ेगा आपका.
बिल्कुल.
Your profile is gonna grow. You will feel so nice about it. And I'm being very, say, congenial, say, casual about if I'm not so effective in my usage. You'll feel absolutely fantastic when you express yourself and when you see yourself. I used to write small articles for newspapers and 700 रुपल्ली मिलती थी मेरे को. पर उसका जो देख के जो पढ़ के मज़ा आता था 50 times I'm not trying to be boastful or it is not about me, but that was the kind of feel that
pride that would come by the very thing that you said, that it's about creation. When you create something, be it a 500-word article or a building, the joy of creation is very satisfying and ultimate. And I think we all are born to create. Somewhere in the rut of life, we forget about this creativity and creation, and we are busy in becoming consumers.
Absolutely.
So instead of consumers, we need to become producers or creators of things. So it was lovely having you, and I'm sure the tips that you have given on training, reading, writing, I'm sure the listeners would love it and would implement in their life. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for tolerating me.
Always a pleasure having you.
Absolutely. Wonderful conversation. My best wishes to you and to your lovely audience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.